Hey guys, and welcome to another Game Explained discussion. I'm your host, Andre Seegers, and this time we're joined by Derek Binner and Ash Paulson to discuss all the Smash Bros. Updates from this past week. So let's get started. Alright guys, a pretty good week overall, I would say, with quite a few interesting details this week, and that culminated with a Game Boy themed arena coming to Smash Bros. 3DS, which was announced on Friday. But we already gave that one its own discussion, so we'll be focusing on the rest of the week this time. So on Monday, we got the announcement of a new assist trophy in the form of the Prince of the Sablé Kingdom, which is actually from a Japanese-only game, which has a name I can't pronounce, but it translates to the frog for whom the bell tolls. Now, the reason it mentions frog in the title is because this character can actually turn into a frog or a snake. Now, even though Americans, and I think Europeans as well, may not be familiar with this character, they may be familiar a little bit with the game if you played Link's Awakening. Because a character from this game actually appeared in that game, which you may know as Richard, who actually had frogs in his house, which again is a callback to this. And in fact, both games shared a very similar visual style and even the same game engine. So even though we never got this game here, we kind of know about this character in some weird roundabout way. So what's your guys' raw reaction to having him here?
I think he's cool. He kind of reminds me of Takamaru in that he's kind of a lesser known classic Nintendo character that I think a vocal minority of people wanted to see as a playable character, but he just, didn't make the cut. But I'm glad he's getting representation either way, and I think this is a really cool, kind of relatively unknown part of Nintendo's history that gets to kind of have a fun moment in the sun as an assist trophy.
Yeah, I think it's awesome that he's here because this is what I love about Smash. It brings to my attention games that I had no idea about. I didn't even know about the Richard connection with this game. That was completely new to me. And it's I mean, looking at the game itself, I'm not sure if I'd enjoy it, but it's interesting to know that this is another part of Nintendo's history that for whatever reason never came to the US. And I love that they're actually, that Smash can bring these characters to people's attentions and give them a little bit of history and all this other really fun stuff. So, regardless of how effective he is in Assist Trophy, I like the fact that he's in here in general.
Now, speaking of effectiveness, Sakurai does elaborate a little bit on how he'll work. And apparently he'll be able to transform into either a snake or a frog, as he could in the original game, and he'll unload multiple attacks on any opponent he catches. And in fact, Sakurai elaborates that he'll keep attacking anyone who's caught in his dust cloud. Now, we actually looked up videos of the original game that this is from before doing this discussion, and that's actually how battles worked in that game. So whenever you would touch an enemy, basically a dust cloud would cover both of them, and then it would play out automatically. So that's kind of cool. So I'm guessing the same thing will happen here, where if he touches you, a dust cloud will kind of like obscure the action, and he'll just inflict a bunch of damage on you.
If I had to guess anything, he'll come out and either stay human or transform into the other two forms. Because I was also looking at the Wikipedia to try to get a good idea, and his human form is the strongest, his frog form can jump the highest, and the snake form can slither into tight areas. So if I had to guess for any of the way he might work, is that the human form will probably be the easiest to dodge, but if you get caught up in it, he'll do the most damage and when he gets you into the dust cloud. But the frog, if you try to jump away from him, he'll jump actually into a player and get him in midair, and the snake will be the fastest, but also probably easiest to dodge as far as just going across the ground. I think that'd be a nice little way of, you have to almost predict how he's going to move and what he's going to do against you.
That would be cool. And also, we see here that Sakurai says, keep attacking your foes when they're trapped in his dust clouds. So this seems like an assist trophy that could be particularly damaging if the damage that you do is compounded with the damage that the Prince of Sablé is doing. He could be actually quite devastating. It's all a matter of how quick he is and how well he traps the opponents.
Speaking of devastating, we get a look at a new weapon on Tuesday, being the Daybreak from Kid Icarus Uprising. But this one's pretty different from every other item in the game, except for one, and that one being the Dragoon. But this one will come in 3 pieces as well, and you'll have to reassemble them in order to take advantage of this weapon. Now, unfortunately, we don't see much else of it. It's a shooting weapon, so you can shoot it. But I'm guessing it'll function similar to how it did in Uprising.
Yeah, it was basically a giant beam weapon in the multiplayer version of the game, where you had to work really hard to even assemble it. Like here in Smash, it came in 3 pieces, and once you got it, it was unbelievably devastating. But it was pretty hard to put together. The pieces didn't appear all that often, and it was tough to if other pieces or if other people had already grabbed 2 of the other pieces, it wasn't necessarily easy to take them out to grab all 3 pieces for yourself. But it's a huge beam weapon, and my guess is that it's probably going to be like the Dragoon in that it is dodgeable, even once someone assembles it in Smash Brothers. But that it'll be, if it does hit, it could easily be an instant KO, much like the Dragoon.
Right, I think that makes a lot of sense, because putting those pieces together is not easy.
Yeah, I mean, I have not played any multiplayer for Kid Icarus Uprising yet, so I had no idea this existed. But the way you describe it, Ash, it kind of reminds me of, it almost seems like a type of weapon that would give every character Samus's Final Smash, where she just unloads a huge beam against everybody and wipes them all out. And it's just, if you can collect it, unlike the Dragoon, where you dash through as many people as you can, this one is all about trying to line people up in your sights and doing this beam against them. So it's interesting that he has a different type of finisher, and changing things up to make Dragoon not the only one where you have to scramble for it, and just keep playing with how many different things you could actually go for.
Now, do you think we could see a Dragoon and a Daybreak in the same match, like at the same time?
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. if pieces of both can be in play at once. My guess is maybe no.
Yeah, I'm thinking that
too. Seems like it would just make things a little too chaotic. I could see maybe like the pieces of the Daybreak appearing, someone collects them, uses it, and then later in the match, pieces of the Dragoon appearing, but not at the same time necessarily.
Yeah. Well, that's also how the Dragoon worked with the Smash Ball in Brawl, because the Smash Ball would not appear if the Dragoon pieces did, and vice versa. So it makes sense to just keep all three of these separate, so only one of them pops up in a match.
Yeah.
Alright, well, moving on to Wednesday, we find out what two more of the Pokemon do, being Victini and Xerneas. And they're apparently both support Pokemon, meaning they'll affect how things handle on the battlefield a little bit. So in Victini's case, he'll boost the attack power of whoever throws a Pokeball, and also prevents flinching.
So basically he gives the character who gets Victini's super armor, like Little Mac.
And then we have Xerneas, who increases the launch power of all fighters, which I guess he's talking about the knockback, basically.
Yeah.
But it raises it even more if you're the one who threw the Pokeball. So both of these are pretty interesting, because I can't think offhand of any of the Pokemon we've seen quite like this. Because most of the time they just attack you directly, so this is kind of interesting that they actually benefit you in other indirect ways.
This is pretty cool. I don't recall that we've seen support Pokemon in this manner in previous Smash Brothers games, so I like that instead of directly attacking, like you said, Andre, they kind of affect things in a more roundabout way. Xerneas, of course, seems to be a little less advantageous, since he kind of helps every fighter, whereas Victini is really interesting because he basically makes it so you don't flinch, so none of your attacks can be interrupted for a limited time, and I think that's a really unique kind of boost to get during a match.
No, I pretty much agree with you, Ash, pretty much all across the board, because we don't really see any sort of items that support you in just stats. We don't see, like, okay, you get this item, you can knock people back easier, or you don't flinch or something like that. Usually it's just healing, or throw this at that person and it'll do more damage. Just good stuff.
Okay, moving on to Thursday, we get a couple of interesting screenshots, both about trophies. So first of all, I'm sure Ash was super stoked to see the Dr. Wily Trophy.
You have no idea. I guess you do have an idea, but this for me was like the Megaton's pick of the day for the week.
Yeah, and we can see that it comes with like the full description and everything, just like in previous games. So yeah, they're really going all out. Now, something else interesting about the first picture is Sakurai mentions that the 3DS version alone will have more trophies than Brawl did, and Brawl already had a ridiculous amount. And so I'm wondering, how many is a Wii U version gonna have?
Exactly. Brawl had 544 trophies, if I remember correctly. So the fact that the 3DS version alone has more, it just makes me wonder, I mean, between the 3DS and Wii U, how many new trophies are we really looking at here?
That probably excited me the most out of anything. Like, I love collecting trophies. I love seeing all the trivia. Like, yes please, I definitely want to collect all of these and see what I can find, and it's really wonderful, because that's what I was kind of worried about, is like, are they going to split the trophies, or we're not going to get as much, and like, will we have more trophies if you combine the two, that sort of thing. But the fact that just the 3DS version alone has that much more is really exciting to me. It's interesting how he phrases it, though. Is like, he says, Brawl had tons of trophies, but rumor has it that the 3DS version may have more. So maybe they aren't quite finished finalizing the trophies yet.
Or he's just being his usual annoing, coy self.
I think that's Sakurai just being cheeky.
that could be it too.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, by annoying, I meant endearing.
Right. Yeah, I think that's him just being cheeky. But no, this is super cool. Also because, as he mentions, the Dr. Wily model is an original model. And I know something a lot of people didn't like about Brawl's trophies compared to Melee's trophies was that for Brawl, a lot of the trophies were just direct model rips from their respective games,
or just sprites, even,
or just sprites, and meaning that a lot of characters and elements from like 2D games such as Mother didn't really have as many trophies. So, Melee almost universally had custom models for the trophies. So I'm really happy to see them going back to that, at least to a degree.
Yeah, there's great detail to it too, because not only do you have Wily in his please forgive me pose, he has like just a wrench by him. Like that's such an unneeded detail, yet it's there.
Yeah, that's totally true. And it looks like in the vein of past games, you'll be able to explore these trophies pretty in depth, just going off the controls on the screen. Sakurai himself notes that you can draw circles on the touchscreen in order to rotate the trophy. Like, there's a camera icon you can see on the bottom screen, so I think it's where you maybe zoom in and out with. And then there's also like an L and R command, which is maybe another way of rotating it. Maybe that's how you move that left and right to spin the trophy. And then above that you have what appears to be a light. And I'm guessing that's what maybe that's what switches the background to different backgrounds.
That's my guess, yeah.
Now the other picture he showed off for this, or on this day, is the trophy shop, which is something that's entirely new. Now, in each of the games there's been different ways of getting trophies, but never before have you straight up just bought them from a selection, as we can see here. And apparently, depending on what time or day it is, certain trophies will go on sale too, as we can see here with the Phantom from Spirit Tracks or Phantom Hourglass. Which is kind of neat. Like, I like the more direct control you have now.
This is like crack for me. I mean, I love trophies like you do, Derek, and the fact that we can now buy them from a selection, like in an actual trophy shop, and not just get random ones out of like a virtual machine is like just the coolest thing. And I'm going to be spending a lot of time in this shop, I think.
See, I'm kind of split on this little detail. Like, I love the fact that you can easily get the trophies you want. But I also just love especially with the random element to it, where you put in cash and you have this much chance of getting a new one, and here's your new one. I like the fact that you didn't know what you were going to get, so each trophy was a surprise, especially the first time through, because you didn't know what all the trophies were. So when you got like a new trophy, you're like, oh man, it's this, or what the heck is this? I don't know what those are. That do you prefer? I guess you could say whether you like random or not.
I don't know. I got kind of sick of the random thing, especially because it's been in other games since then too. Like Tropical Freeze did the exact same thing. I'm kind of over it. Like, I feel like it kind of turns into a grind at that point, and this may not fully cure that either. But I feel like if you can see more of what the future holds for you, like the things you actually may want, that actually might keep people more engaged in the process.
Yeah, I mean, if anything, we might just have both. I mean, we might have the trophy shop, and then also, a random element where you could just, put in money and get a random trophy out too. I mean, yeah. Sakurai does say if you're having a hard time getting certain trophies, why not just buy them? Which tells me there are obviously many ways to get certain trophies. So, the trophy shop I don't think is the be all end all for most of the trophies.
Well, you know what would be cool actually is if they had both, and maybe the random one is cheaper, but you can actually choose which one you want at a more expensive price. I did notice that they're all 300 coins here, which is kind of odd. I mean, I guess they're just like a flat rate across the board unless one's on sale.
Yeah, or maybe they might cost more or less based on their rarity, possibly,
yeah.
Or how hard they are to get. Because I mean, in Brawl and Melee, there were certain trophies that were really, really hard to get. Like you had to do incredibly hard things to actually earn the trophies. So those might be on sale for an obscene amount of coins, while ones that just show up randomly, like say in Smash Run, might be a regular price.
That could be. Yeah, I mean, I wonder how this is going to work exactly. Like maybe there's different categories. But looking at the screenshot, it looks like there's no way to scroll through this. So maybe it's just a random selection of 6 every day, perhaps, for instance?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even notice that. Yeah, that's a definite possibility.
And you can also use play coins, too, it looks like, which gives them another use, at least.
Yeah, which is nice.
Yeah.
And something I'm thinking, too, is that maybe to kind of appease the people who feel like you do, Derek, is that maybe you can only buy the trophies you've already seen in game. Like maybe you saw it in Smash Run, but you didn't nab it in time, or just otherwise ones. Yeah, nab it. There you go. But basically, you can only choose from ones you've already seen, which makes it so you're not spoiled necessarily. but by like seeing already what's in store for you. So that's just a thought, but maybe you can't buy ones that you haven't seen yet.
That'd be cool. I'd really like if that was possible, because you don't feel as stressed to like, oh no, I missed it, and like going through subspace and you miss a trophy, you feel like
Yeah.
So no, if it did it like that, I'd really like this system. But I guess we'll have to just wait and see exactly how it's all going to play out.
What do you guys think about the trophy selection here? Because we get some interesting ones, and we get some Kid Icarus representation. We get Tingle. We got a Goomba, which is pretty standard. We got a Pokemon, whatever.
Oshawott,
and we get Andrew from Star Fox, which is the most surprising to me, because I didn't even recognize him there. In fact, I think you're the one who nailed that one, Ash.
Yeah, no, I was wondering it for a bit who that was, and I was like, wait, that long face, that looks like Andrew Oikane, and then I turned out to be right. And yeah, he looks like he does in his Star Fox Assault and Star Fox Command incarnations. So I think that's pretty cool, just because it shows once again that Sakurai is willing to dig down pretty deep and do trophies of characters that might not necessarily seem obvious, like the Goomba or Oshawott, or Viridi, things like that.
Well, and speaking obvious, actually, it looks like we will be getting some obvious trophies. If you look at the background behind the Phantom, you can see like Mega Man, the Wii Fit Trainer, like all the main characters basically. You get Rosalina.
Well, I think those are just the silhouettes of their official character.
Well, they actually, you can see they have like a podium or like a statue base beneath them.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, that's true. Well, yeah, I would imagine there would at least be trophies of all the playable characters. And I know there was for a while there were a few people who were thinking that the top right silhouette might be Ness.
It looks like Villager,
and
right?
I just want to it's Villager. I just wanted to make it clear for all of you out there who are thinking, oh, that's confirmation of Ness. And sadly, it's as much as I'm sure he's going to be in the game, that is just Villager.
No question about it. Alright, so this would normally be where we wrap up the video, because we already covered the Game Boy picture ad nauseum. But while editing this video, I realized there's even more I wanted to say about it, and it's partially because of some of the comments you guys left on our previous discussion video for it. So, unfortunately, Derek and Ash couldn't join me for this, so I'm gonna man this by myself. So, I just want to go through some of your guys' comments and just get my feedback on it, because some of these ideas are kinda cool. So, Mayhem Power Man suggested that the power could run out at certain points and turn the entire screen black, making you fight in the dark. I actually think that's a pretty cool idea, and it would, give a little bit more light to that little power light right there. It's a neat idea. I can see them potentially doing that, and I think it'd be a little bit like some of the Pokemon we've seen, where it causes the screen to darken briefly, just making part of the map. So yeah, good idea. Next up from Sup Double Battery Man, he suggests that while it could be a stage, there is a chance that this is actually the end of the credits sequence. And maybe that Kirby and DDD just spent several minutes destroying all the names of the developers as they scrolled by, and that all you're left with is the Nintendo logo at the very end. It's possible. We did suggest that, we don't know for sure this is a stage. It really could be any number of, a new mode, basically. Who knows what they're planning with this game. I'm still leaning toward it being a stage, partly because it'd be awesome. But, credit sequence is possible, though it wouldn't quite align with what we've seen before, with that retro visual style. But with that said, the destroying character thing, it's, destroying the names, is something we have seen before, and if that's the case, it would make sense. Yeah, so good idea. Next up we have Alejandro, who suggests that maybe the power light will dim once you get close to the end of the match, so like when there's 1 minute left, and then when time finally appears on the screen will actually turn off, like the power will just run out completely. I don't know if they do that simply because they've never done anything like that for a stage before, to my memory, like no stage exclusive like times out, or when the match ends. The closest thing I can think of is in the Mario NES style stage. You actually do hear the countdown, get faster, or the music gets faster when you're running low on time, which is a cool touch. So I could see that happening with a power light maybe. I don't think the screen will go out completely when the time's up, but it'd be a cool idea. I mean, it'd be neat if they added that detail. Next up we have People Dud, and they're running with a power light idea, kind of similar to what's been suggested already. People Dud thinks the power light should go off at certain points throughout the match, and then you're just playing on a black screen, again like Mayhem suggested. However, People Dud suggests that the platforms could stay the same, you just can't see where they are. I think that's actually a pretty cool idea too. So yeah, it's kind of building on the power light idea, and I think that actually would be cool, because that power light does have a pretty prominent position on the stage. Why not make it part of the gameplay, right? Finally, the Mob Slayer suggests that the stage looks pretty small, as we said before, and he thinks it might be small enough that maybe a giant pterodactyl-like creature wouldn't quite fit in the stage. Cough, Ridley, cough. That's funny. That's funny. Alright, so yeah, that pretty much covers for all the comment ideas. Although I did see a lot of you suggesting that maybe it's not just a Game Boy exclusive stage. What if it actually cycles through several different handhelds, like, the Game Boy Color or the Game Boy Advance? Basically the whole Game Boy lineage. And that's possible. That anything's possible with Smash Brothers. I think that'd be cool, though I kind of like the idea of them just sticking with the classic Game Boy motif, and maybe, seeing them, like, swap out games every now and then. Yeah, but whatever. I mean, what we've seen is cool, and if they want to build on that in some other way, that'd be neat. Something else they could do, maybe, is actually have you, like, travel from different systems, like, through the link cable, so maybe you travel from screen to screen. It's kind of a wild idea. I don't know if they do that, but it's something they could do. So maybe that would explain why the arena is so small. So maybe if you actually run off the stage, you actually go to another Game Boy. So maybe there's actually multiple screens to the stage. Again, I don't think they do that, but it is something that would be possible. Alright, so I think that finally wraps up all my thoughts. Oh, except for one more thing. And that's the fact that someone else suggested, I don't have the name in front of me unfortunately, but someone suggested, what if this is all a tie-in to a new playable character being the Game Boy? I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think there's a chance in hell of it happening. But I think that would be awesome, and it would be another one of those off-the-wall characters no one would ever suspect. Well, maybe they now expect it. But like along the lines of Wii Fit Trainer. We've seen a personified Game Boy before in the Captain N comics and TV show, I think, or one of the two. And I actually could see that working. Like if you have him standing up, you can have him animate in a way, kind of like the Magic Carpet, right? Where you give him like, human-esque qualities. I can see them doing it. Like he could launch projectiles from his screen, for instance. Like what if he could shoot out like Tetris pieces, or have, just like basically conjure just different elements of different Game Boy games. Maybe he could shoot cartridges of UID 2 or something, or shoot batteries out of his back. There's just really a lot of things they could do. Yeah, I mean, that would be a totally off-the-wall character. Kind of like along the same lines as Rob, even more specifically. So, alright, there we go. I feel like we've covered everything we possibly could with this stage, with perhaps the exception of a few other people suggesting maybe this is a Super Game Boy stage. It's possible, but there's, and that would explain why there's some slight color on DDD, but that's really going out there. I don't think that'd be the case. But if they did do that, they could tie in the different borders and having, as someone else suggested, which I don't have the name in front of me either, you could have people drawing on the screen, kind of like in the Picture Chat Arena, but that was something you could do in the Super Game Boy. So really, just infinite potential about this stage. Really, it's been a while since I've had a screenshot this exciting with how much they could do. Now just watch as this is actually the entire stage and nothing else actually happens. Alright, so with that, this discussion's finally over. So thanks guys for watching. If you liked our discussion, make sure to like and follow us on Facebook and Twitter at GameXplained, which you can find links to in the description below. It's a good way to keep up to date on everything we post. And of course, keep an eye on GameXplained.com for more on Super Smash Bros. 3DS and Wii U and other things gaming as well. Alright, thanks guys. Bye.